Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of various ages. My name is Sin Synergy alongside the great old fact book himself, Ridge, and we are here tonight for the Divisionals, day one of Divisionals, I should say, with the NHBL Finals. And Ridge, the excitement so far in the NHBL Finals, being that this is the last Finals in history, already shown really good matches, really good times, a lot of some upsets, some boxers that a backup boxer made his appearance and already be making an appearance here tonight as he won last week. We'll get more into that here shortly. Ridge, you've got to be excited. I'm really excited. Are you really excited?
Yeah, I'm quite excited. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's a good night tonight. I mean, we're only casting one of the best matches I think we could have ever asked for this season. Comfy Len and Spartan. Good God, what a match! Brilliant stuff, honestly. And the other match tonight is, of course, between the two sort of underdogs, the underdog stories, both of them two.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll get more into TD and Meh here shortly, but let's talk about that big match. Let's talk about Coffeeland and Spartan, the reigning and defending Sergeant Heavyweight Champion. He's still in this tournament here, and he's looking to become a two-time Sergeant Heavyweight Champion by the time the finals are done and over with. But he is going up against a veteran in Spartan, one of the boxers that holds the most wins here in NHBL history. You know, Spartan wants to end the NHBL off on a high note by him holding, metaphorically speaking, of course. You can't actually hold it here in TF2 chat or here in TF2, but Spartan wants to become the Sergeant Heavyweight Champion. Obviously, he is determined. Probably the most focused that we've seen Spartan ever. I think, don't you think, Ridge?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, with results like these from Spartan, it just goes to show just how much he wants this title here. And it's kind of confounded by the fact that Comfy Len's season this season, I think he admitted this himself, has not been exactly great. Not at least compared to last season, where he did steamroll quite a few times. Spartan's record is 10-8, but these two have never met, which will be interesting to see. But yeah, it's Spartan. He has achieved two top three finishes, two top eight finishes in out of the six tournaments that he has done in, he's come in so far. So if Comfy wants, Spartan wants this. Spartan absolutely wants this, and I. It's going to be tough for Comfy Land to overcome in my field, just simply because of just how determined Spartan is to finally lift this goddamn trophy.
Yeah, absolutely. And with Spartan being as a big name as Spartan in the NHBL history, being that this is the final season, yeah, everyone's pulling for him to win it all here in the finals, just on that merit alone. But it's not going to be easy. Going through Cumberland is not going to be an easy task. You're absolutely right, Ridge. He did not have a great season. His words, not mine. He did perform very well down to Fight Night, becoming a Fight Night champion at one point. So, I mean, Cumberland is still a boxer to fear, that's for sure. And it's going to be a really good match here in the main event tonight. Super exciting stuff. You don't want to miss it. But the first match that we'll see tonight will be TD against Meh. Meh was going to enter the finals here, possibly the Fight Night champion. However, being that he could not attend Boxing Mania, so he had to forfeit his championship. But that doesn't mean that he's not motivated to go into the finals. A rookie this season, he has shown very well, especially down in the Fight Night scene, that he is a very good boxer. But he's going up against a boxer that was a backup to the finals in TD. He replaced Fluffy Teddy Bear, and he had a good match last week, going up against Oni 3-1. That's impressive in its own right, being that Oni's technically has fought in more of the main season matches than TD. TD got the win. He's going up against Meh. How do you think this match will play out between these two?
I mean, from looking at records and from what I recollect from, in particular, I think it was the scrap. It was the battle royal and the fisticuffs as well was an interesting thing. We should not sleep on Meh because even though TD might be a sort of weirder, fresher face, he has experience here. Meh has toppled giants before now. in this season. In the fisticuffs, he won against Baxter 3-2 and Ragewell 2-0 before losing to Teddy 2-4 in what I can remember being kind of a close match. And then in the Battle Royale this year, he won against White Russian Bear in one of the biggest upsets, I think, at that point in the season before losing to Ragewell in their rivalry. So Meh has beaten Giants before now. And I think for that reason alone, TD has got a giant hill to climb because Meh has shown capable skill here against more experienced, more established names than TD. Not to say that TD can't pull off the upset, but God, Meh has something to prove here tonight.
We get ready for these warm-up rounds between TD in the red and Meh in the blue. And we're going to see these warm-up rounds as that's the okay. Sportsmanship. Yeah, that's great. I love it. It's perfect. Well,
it is perfect.
Yeah, and you know what? And that's really all it's about. All jokes aside, it's really what it's all about. Being it's the last season, a lot of these boxers are all good friends, and we've seen time and time again that sometimes, well, not sometimes, all the time, these boxers are pretty competitive. You can see, look at TD's just teleporting around the ring there. I mean, that's going to be kind of an issue and definitely something. Good thing we have Spogo in as a referee to kind of watch this stuff. Spogo's one of the best referees in terms of, especially for watching out for lag spikes and stuff. So keep that in the back of you guys' head, people watching. But we talk about sportsmanship and we talk about these boxers, the competitiveness, and being as it's the final season, you're starting to see these boxers, kind of pay it forward and kind of have more of I guess, I don't know what the word, heartfelt exchange before we get things going. And that's a good thing, Ridge. I think that's perfect. Being at this is the final season, a lot of these guys are friends, and you know what? If it doesn't harm the in-ring product, then I think it's good to go.
Definitely, yeah. When it comes towards the end of anything, there's an elevated level of respect because it's the last time that we do this, and it's like, well, we might as well make it a quality product while we can. And I wish other boxers to just keep that in mind in some aspects here. TD is still lagging quite badly. It's like, I mean, Spogo. It's up to Spogo's discretion what goes on in the match, obviously. Ping might affect Meh more. As a person who does melee fighting to extreme speeds quite often, lag can really disorientate the person you're fighting as well. Where the hell are you going to go when your physical character is 2 frames a second? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just quite challenging.
Yeah, and we've never, to my knowledge, we have never seen a match end in a boxer lagging too much where they were just not physically able to compete. Don't know if that would ever happen, but for storyline purposes and to keep things entertaining for the viewers at home, definitely something to maybe possibly consider. And yeah, Meh, he is used to this kind of environment. In fight nights, we sometimes get randoms with bad internet. It just happens. There's no disputes down in fight night. Meh definitely has to be on the top of his game, and you don't be surprised if you see a dispute or two here in this one. And either way, though, ping or otherwise, I think it's going to be a good match, Ridge.
Absolutely. It will be an interesting match. It'll be the underdog TD versus the kind of established Giant Slayer in Meh, which will be a very, very interesting match indeed. And of course, the winner faces Spartan and or Comfy Len. Which is fun. Which is fun for both of these two. I'm sure they're not. I'm sure they're not pooping their britches. Right? I'd be filled with confidence and also undeniable terror.
All right, so it's going to be another little unorthodox matchup here. If Meh wants to try to, or TD, I should say, finish this off early, he's probably going to be best for that so that he doesn't lag out. Both boxers getting the punches in. Got some slight teleportation there, but no action given. Meh is kind of keeping his distance, and Meh takes out TD. It's 1-0 for Meh. You saw a little bit of that lag, but it wasn't to the fact that it was affecting Meh. Meh backed off. That was good on Meh's part. That kind of back off when TD was lagging.
Yeah, good sportsmanship coming out there. I mean, they were both pretty passive to begin with. I don't think there was really much of aggression from either side. Maybe TD got a little bit more aggressive towards the end of that there as well. I mean, provided that neither boxer really stride towards the other while TD is potentially lagging, I don't see too much of an issue until we wait it out. Besides, they only last like a couple of seconds, but we'll see. We'll see.
Okay, the bell has rung. Meh is up 1-0 here in this one. Best of 7, of course. And Meh gets the first punch, but TD answers. Then once again, same rule. Meh hits TD and TD answers. TD is just going to stand there. Going to slowly move forward. Meh moves forward. TD backs up. And now Meh is going for the kill there. And Meh does it.
Oh.
It is now 2-0. But, Ridge, what did you see in that one?
A lot of passive play from TD. TD wanted Meh to come to him. And it kind of worked a little bit up until the Meh finally managed to break through that aggression, that passiveness, you see. But TD's strategy of backing up against the ropes and waiting for Meh to overstep his mark does work pretty well. It's a strategy that I sometimes use, and for melee fighting, but he's got to be more consistent than that.
All right. Now the bell has rung. A little bit delayed, but it has rung regardless. Meh is in the middle of the ring while TD's kind of backed up in his corner. Meh goes up and hits TD. TD answers. And TD once again backing up a little bit. Meh backs up in the middle there. TD answers. And so far it's pretty even punches here. And Meh finishes off TD. It is 3-0 now. And it's a little bit part of the course of how both of these boxers are kind of want to fight out. Meh is a little bit more passive, but both the boxers getting pretty good hits in. They're answering pretty well.
TD is doing an interesting thing. He's just making sure that every single hit counts. And that is a very useful strategy to go by. You can keep track of your own health, but it's just making sure that you hit the punches. Very important. The problem is that Meh knows that he's trying to be passive. TD has to change something very quickly here because Meh's seen through it. It's all well and good landing your punches, but if you're too passive, you're a sitting duck in that squared circle. You're a sitting duck.
All right, so it's match point. Meh could be walking out of here, knowing that he's going to be returning next weekend. Both boxers answering on that one. Meh realizing that TD is lagging a little bit. Meh's giving him time. TD is stabilized. Now they both answer. Meh with a little bit of a spin. And he's spinning again. He's real 3-1, and I think Meh is a little too confident in this one. And he makes it just a little bit interesting. It's 3-1. Meh is still up to match point.
Confusion doesn't. Oh, I'm sorry. I had to. Okay, I was just about to say. I was like, is there a technical issue? Is he doing it for a gaff? What is going on? The answer is doing it for a gaff. But so, I mean, the analysis there is literally just spin. It's a spin.
And we said at the beginning of this match of the sportsmanship that all these boxers have. You're seeing it right here again. Meh takes another hit off of TD. TD did not get a hit off. TD's going in for the kill. He has nothing left to lose. Meh with the spin! And that's it. And just like that, Meh officially now going to the semis next week, winning that one 4-1. And just for the sake of time, we're going to go right down for the interview with Clayface interviewing Meh.
Thank you, Sins and Ridge and Meh. Here we are, heading to the Super Semis, 4-1 over TD the Paradox. How do you feel tonight?
Kind of sad and bad.
So I think Ridge is going to be my prompter.
Lag screwed him over, not going to lie.
So, Meh, I mean, very competitive though. Regardless, you still won the match 4-1. Some of the rounds were close, and then there was the warnings for his lag. What was the strategy though coming out there tonight, regardless of the lag?
Don't get hit.
Now, Comfy Len and Spartan are going to be fighting in about five minutes. how do you feel that match is going to be played out? Who would you rather fight in the semis? Because that is the future opponent who you will be fighting next week.
HMMM.
Um,
Monkey.
Uh,
Who wears a monkey costume?
Bright Boy.
Bright Boy's the monkey costume.
Beyonce has released more perfumes than albums.
Really?
Yes.
What the? That's actually a really good fact. Thank you, Ridge. The fact booked. The final time, one of the final times we'll probably actually hear the fact book here live on the stream. It's really depressing if you really think about it. I'm sad. I'm going to cry. Oh wait, crap. We have another match. Coffeeland and Spartan, 4 out of 7, main event tonight. Oh, this is going to be good. Okay. This is exciting. This is just this is definitely a quote unquote dream match, especially with the implications of it's the finals, right? I know it's not the finals of the finals, but 4 out of 7, plenty of time for these boxers to show everybody at home and live here at the Vatican City Superdome of what these two are made of. They're going to put on a clinic tonight, Ridge, I'm sure.
Humongous implications too. Not only is one of these two going home tonight, but if Comfy Len loses, we're crowning a new champion this season. If Spartan loses, one of the biggest contenders for that crown has gone. This is huge for both of these two giants. This is also their potential last match as well, much like everyone else here. So there is a lot riding on this. And Comfy Len, with the title around his waist, has got a lot more to lose.
Yeah, absolutely. He does, and he definitely wants to. He definitely wants to. Well, I'm sure it's kind of silly for me to say this, but I was about to say, Coffeeland wants to walk out of here, still with that belt. Everybody wants to walk out of here with that belt. Why wouldn't you? That's silly. I'm a bad commentator. But how important it is, I suppose, that only 2 other boxers in history has won the championship more than once, or at least I should say twice, because no one's won it more than twice, and that's Weber Chabert and that's Ice. To solidify himself on that list, is a big deal, I would say. All right, the bell has rung, and both boxers meeting in the center of the ring there. Comfy Len kind of got surprised there, but Comfy Len making a little bit of a. I thought it looked like on my screen Spartan got the first hit, but Comfy Len must have. But talk about that aggressive style from both these boxers, meeting up middle of the ring for both of these guys, and they just started wailing on each other. That was a good first opening round.
Well, you see, I would talk about it. I couldn't see much from where I am, but it seemed that Comfy might have definitely got a bit of distance, and Spartan might have overestimated how big Comfy Len's gloves are, extra padding and all that. I let me get a closer look. I can't.
Rich, are you okay? Rich, are you? Rich, are you okay? Rich.
No, yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
Oh, that's great. Awesome. Yeah. All right. 1-0 for Comfy Len. We like to have fun here in NHBL. Spartan missing the first punch, though. Comfy Len did not miss, though. And now a little bit passive this time around. Spartan missing again! And unfortunately, if you miss twice and your opponent doesn't miss twice, you're technically down 2 hits, and that means disaster for you here at the NHBL Finals.
Fancy footwork from Comfy Len, managing to pin Spartan against that top corner post. And Spartan didn't really have too much of an answer for it. It seems passiveness isn't working out as well as he'd like as well. God, it's interesting. It's interesting just how much of a different playstyle Spartan could have. But it's not working. He needs to try something new. He's trying something different. And the fact that he's missing so many punches is uncharacteristic. It just goes to show how good of a maneuverer Comfy Len actually is.
All right. Coffeeland getting out of his corner there, meeting Spartan in the middle, and now Spartan getting the first hit. And Coffeeland's looking at Coffeeland trying to maneuver him out, but it doesn't work. Oh my goodness! Oh, what the heck was that? Spartan makes it on the board 2-1, and that's what we like to see between these two boxers.
What that was, Sins, was the luckiest gator roll I have ever seen from him. Ever. Considering the implications. Spartan misses one, right? We all saw it. We all felt it deep within our bellies. And then Comfy, overwhelmed by just sheer how much pressure Spartan was putting on him, misses as well. Brilliant stuff. That was just either pure luck or just blind luck. Probably, you know what? Both types of luck.
A little bit of both. A little bit
Deep within our bellies. Shut up.
Let's see what else these boxers are going to just start doing. Both boxers really good at what they do, and you're seeing it here in the NHBL Finals. Spartan getting a bunch of hits in. Comfy Len missed. It wasn't as what we saw last round, but now it is tied 2-2. And you mentioned it earlier, Spartan missing his hits. That's very uncharacteristic. He didn't miss that time. He hit all of his punches.
He had 2 punches to spare for himself. Good God. You get a dictionary, right? The NHBL dictionary, the history book. You turn to the page about the gator roll. What do you see? That right there. Perfect consistency, perfect pressure, and perfect aim.
All right. So now we have a brand new game, guys. It's 2-2. Comfy Len getting the first hit. Spartan was unable to get that punch in. They're both tackling hits now. Comfy Len still up above. Comfy Len not missing his hits though. Back and forth they go. And Comfy Len makes it 3-2. Match point for Comfy Len. And you saw that Comfy Len was just direct hits with his punches. He backed up, went forward, hit Spartan. 3-2 now.
It wasn't the exact same style of play as at this boxer, but it's very shades of retro. The fact that Comfy hits these punches every time while still being passive is an achievement. It's a very big achievement, and Comfy Len is just going to show just how much fancy footwork matters in this sport. Quote, it's crucial. God, he's 1 point away, Sins. He's 1 point away.
Crazy. Right now, here we are. This could be the final match of the night. We shall see. Spartan missing, but Comfy Len could not get the punch in. It's very even here. They're going down the Comfy Len, 4-2, and you'll see him next week as he takes on Meh in the semifinals. Ridge. What a final round that was! To end up a really good match between these two.
One crucial moment, he missed his punch. And you know what I say? You've gotta hit your punches! You have to! Otherwise, that happens. Brilliant performance from Comfy. Brilliant. Who would have thunk it?
Thanks, Sins and Ridge, and I'm here with Lenny. Lenny. Look at him. Look at Lenny. Lenny, back to the semis in the NHBL Finals, back-to-back now. You've made it to the semis again, and what a performance. I mean, you were so passive, and you were so, as Ridge mentioned in the chat, and the microphone, that your footwork was unbelievable tonight. What was the strategy going in there tonight? What an unbelievable performance, Lenny.
Oh, well, I knew I couldn't rush Spartan. Spartan's pretty much impervious to being rushed with his famed gator roll, so my main strategy was to avoid the gator roll, so I played a little more passive. I tried to make it work, but that's a Spartan passive move, and that's a bit too advanced for me. I couldn't make that one stick. Yeah, I mean, obviously I feel bad for Spartan. It couldn't. If it could have been someone else I had to fight, because Spartan's a great guy. I would have fought someone else, but there we are. That's the way the cards fall.
So 4-2, you move to the semis to take on Meh, who just won tonight against TD. Your thoughts coming up with that match and that specific contest coming up?
Well, given the relative poor performance of my season, I'm happy to have made it into the top 4. The semis is good. I'm happy with the semis. If I beat Meh, great. If I don't, then, well, we've got a new champion. It's going to be a fantastic season either way.
Hello, everybody. This is Flakes, executive of the NHBL, because I totally forgot my title and I'm can't be arsed to actually look at what it is. My speech.docx by Brand Flakes. So this is the end, isn't it? We've finally reached the magnum opus of all we have worked for during these past 10 seasons. To finally witness the conclusion of the NHBL, all I can say is that I'm glad to have been involved through its many ups and downs. Since Season 6, I have streamed for this league, and initially, I didn't think much of it. During the time, I had just learned how to use OBS just from doing shenanigans with my friends in a different server, until one of them approached me saying that NHBL needs a streamer, which at the time was really just comes down to is all I was needed for was I need to know how to turn on, make a stream, and keeping the camera still so that the action is on screen. And that was pretty much it for the time. When I agreed to help out Fedora with that problem, I didn't think it would snowball into years of unwavering commitment and pizza during the finals. And then, in the end, eventually to the executive position that I am privileged and thankful to have today. Back then, the stream quality and overlay were bare bones, as I literally just understood the program at a basic level. Little did I know that I would attempt to improve this to reach a point in which I feel that I've truly grown in learning this program. It's even reached the point to where I have a TF2 font installed on my computer, and I can now type out essays with it when I need to. But all of this knowledge regarding the streams is secondary to everything else that I have gained, just by continuing my roles here at the NHBL. When I originally met Fedora, my first impressions was that he was a very dedicated man whose pride seemed to stem from a niche side activity to a game which has a dwindling audience. Had I not continued with the league as I have, I would have not met the side of him that is compassionate and is ready to extend a helping hand at a moment's notice. The same applies to many of the other people that I have worked with here. Sins, who has invited me, a man who lives several hours away from him, into his own house on not one, but 2 separate occasions. Clayface, whose accent and memorable sayings will stick with me as I have more interactions with him. Bax, who I have butted heads with during his time as a commentator and boxer because we cheer for divisional rivals in American football. And many others that I have had the honor of speaking to, but whom I will not mention since I want to keep this speech somewhat concise. I now ask you all one question. Had I not stuck around, how else would I have met the great number of people that I have? This is rhetorical, of course, but I cannot state enough of how thankful I am to have the opportunity to speak to you all about the end of something great. All of you, everybody in this server, those in Twitch chat, and those who have contributed in the past and may not hear these words ever. I am thankful that you have decided to be a part of this organization. Had you not, we would not be in the place where we stand today. This organization has truly changed my life, and it is sad to see it go so soon. But as the saying goes, all great things must come to an end. So I ask you all now, and this time I want it to hear it answered. Are you ready to say goodbye? But are you also ready to make this the best damn send-off we'll ever have? If so, please shoot your guns upwards. My appreciation. And I will see you all again, because thankfully we got more tournament to go. So I will see you all again before we're truly done, so that we may give this league the proper conclusion it deserves. Farewell, everybody.